If you want to understand the monumental weight placed on Zelda Twilight Princess, you have to look at the year 2004. Nintendo had just released The Wind Waker, a brilliant game that was initially met with fierce backlash for its cartoonish, cel-shaded art style. The fans were loud, and their demand was clear. Give us a mature, realistic Zelda. Give us a true successor of Ocarina of Time. Now when you fast forward to the future, games like The Wind Waker are really beloved, like Phantom Hourglass, the Train one, Phantom Train, and, many others. Nintendo answered that call with a roar. Twilight Princess wasn't just a game, it was an apology, a course correction, and a technical flex all rolled into one. Released in 2006, it plunged players into a melancholic, fading Hyrule, draped in shadow and struggling for survival. It became one of the highest-selling games in the franchise's history. But looking back, does this greedy cinematic adventure still hold the crown? Now, before we begin, full disclosure, disclaimer, FYI, I never actually played the original release of Twilight Princess in 2006. I did have the Wii version, but I never actually played it. From what I remember, I bought it because it was during the time when I was just like tinkering with all like my electronics, like my computers and stuff. And that was around the time I learned about the Twilight hack, for your Wii. So I bought the game because I wanted to try it. I never figured it out, the hack, and I was too stupid to play this game. So I never actually played it. I own it, just never played it. So I played the Wii U version of the game on definitely a Wii U. The development of Twilight Princess is a fascinating chapter in gaming history because it is fundamentally a game torn between two eras. Originally designed as the ultimate swan song for the Nintendo GameCube, the game was delayed so it could also serve as a flagship launch title for Nintendo's risky new console, the Wii. This cross-generation leap led to one of the most bizarre development decisions in Nintendo's history. Because most people are right-handed, Nintendo wanted players to swing the remote with their right hand to control Link's sword, but Link has traditionally been left-handed. Instead of just changing Link's character model, the developers initially mirrored the entire game world for the Wii version. East became West, the sun rose in a different place. It was a massive brute force solution to a hardware problem. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Breath of the Wild, in the sense that Breath of the Wild released at the very end of the Wii U's life cycle. So it released both on the Wii U and on the Switch. Obviously, I think the Switch one was the more superior one, I think. So yeah, it's kind of, they did it multiple times, that thing. And also the swinging mechanic, bro, like, maybe I'm in the minority or I don't know, but I think that's fucking dumb. I understand the Nintendo wanted to push motion controls because that was a whole gimmick of the fucking console. That was its whole thing. Without it, it was just, regular console. It wasn't special without it. IMO. So I think I would have hated it if I actually played it on the Wii with the fucking motion controls. I know Skyward Sword is known for that, and they even released that plastic crossbow, no? The peripheral for the Wii remote for Skyward Sword. I could be mistaken. I don't know. I think if I'm not wrong, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass for developers too, because researching this for this video, clearly, I just said it, that they fucking they made the game really weird. Like, they made it hard for themselves to develop for. While the Wii version introduced aiming with the infrared pointer, which felt revolutionary but still a bit clunky, made using the bow incredibly satisfying sometimes. The wiggle combat was largely superficial and kind of annoying to use, for me personally at least. Regardless of which version players chose to play, the core game underneath was a sprawling, ambitious epic that pushed the GameCube hardware to its absolute breaking point, featuring massive boss fights and a scale previously unseen in the franchise. After playing Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, you can really see the scale that Nintendo wanted to go with. For the game did feel bigger. It did feel more, I guess, mature. I wouldn't necessarily say that because of the art style, although that does kind of play a part in it. But I feel like the game wanted to be darker, more greedy. I feel like during that time, like late 2000s, early 2010s, I feel games wanted to be more mature. The central mechanic of Twilight Princess is the dual existence of its world, the light world of Hyrule and the oppressive, corrupted Twilight realm. When Link enters the Twilight, he doesn't just change clothes, he is painfully transformed into a wolf. This wasn't just an aesthetic shift, it was a total gameplay overhaul. Playing as Wolf Link restricts your combat to bites and spin attacks, but it grants you heightened senses. You can track scents, dig for secrets, and see the lingering spirits of terrified citizens of Hyrule who don't even realize they've been conquered. It grounds the narrative in a feeling of helplessness. However, the true brilliance of the wolf mechanic isn't the animal itself, it's the creature riding on its back. Now, when I played for the first time Twilight Princess, I had no idea that Link was going to turn into a werewolf, or a wolf rather. Like, I knew the wolf was in the box art and all the promotional material, from what I remember. Again, I wasn't really in tune with Nintendo back in the day. I mean, I did have a Wii, I did have a GameCube, but I was mostly a PlayStation gamer, or PS2 gamer. So I only played the Wii and the GameCube as my side console, so I wasn't really invested into gaming news and stuff when it came to Nintendo. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I was really invested into Nintendo and its characters when I had the Wii, because even though I did have the PS2, I didn't get a PS3 till after. So when I got my Wii, I was really into Nintendo games, but here's the big but. I only really played Mario and Smash, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really play anything else that wasn't Mario. I didn't have any of the Kirby games. I didn't have any of the Yoshi games. I didn't have anything else. I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. I'm not a Nintendo dick rider. So no offense if you are. So I only played like the basic shit, you know. Even Zelda. I never played Zelda as a kid. If you see my other videos on Zelda, you'd know that I played Zelda as older person. I never played as a kid. So I never had that attachment as a kid. So going back to my main point about the promotional material and stuff, I had no idea that Link was going to turn into a werewolf. I thought the werewolf was going to be another character, or even Zelda herself. I'm not even kidding. So when I played it for the first time recently and Link turned into a wolf, I was like, oh, so it's Link that turns into the wolf, not anybody else or a separate character. Speaking of other characters, enter Midna. In a franchise notorious for annoying companion characters, you know, I wouldn't say Navi's annoying, but some people think she is. Midna is a revelation. She is sarcastic, self-serving, and initially treats Link like a literal dog. I mean, he technically was a dog. Anyway, but over the course of the 40-hour adventure, her character arc is deeply fleshed out. She goes from an opportunist imp to a tragic, heroic figure willing to sacrifice everything for her people. She is the co-protagonist of Twilight Princess, and her dynamic with Link provides the emotional anchor for the entire game. Now, obviously spoilers because you're watching this video. Midna, however you pronounce it, turns out she is the Twilight Princess. Low-key, maybe I'm too fucking stupid. I didn't see it coming. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it coming. When I was playing through the game, I honestly thought she was gonna backstab Link, because in the beginning, like I said before, she was kind of a bitch. Let's be honest. She wasn't nice. She was just there because she wanted to use me, and she wanted to use Link, you know, for her benefit, right? So, and then we started collecting her crown, the piece of the crown. So I thought she was gonna use that for her advantage, and like, you know, use it against Hyrule or some shit. But it wasn't until, like, you know, once you're in the middle of the game, once you progressed a little to the game, where you realized, oh, she's not evil, she's just a fucking bitch. Especially since she kind of sacrifices herself. Oh no, sorry. Zelda sacrifices herself for Midna, and you can see Midna like be fucking sad because of it. Like, why the fuck would you do this for me? I'm just a nobody, right? I basically caused all this. So that was, I think, the pivotal moment in the game's story where I realized that, you know, she's not evil. Okay, this is also one thing about her character design. It's kind of weird. Like, Nintendo kind of made her like kind of thick, bro. Like in her imp figure or her imp model. If you, I don't know if I noticed it because I'm a fucking weirdo, but it's kind of hard to miss. Like they kind of gave her curves and shit as an imp. I was like, okay, bro. Well, whatever, I guess. And then she kind of looked like a Gerudo first when they revealed at the end of the game her true form when she got her powers back. That was honestly really sad. The end of the game was really sad, but we'll get to the story later in the video. If there is one area where Twilight Princess stands disputed, is its dungeon design. It represents the absolute peak of the traditional find the map, get the item, kill the boss Zelda formula before Breath of the Wild completely rewrote the rules. Take the Arbiter's Grounds. It starts as a creepy, pole-hunting ghost ship of a level and transforms into an extreme sports skate park once you unlock the spinner. The boss fight against the skeletal dragon Star-Lord, not Star-Lord, where you are literally grinding on walls like Tony Hawk to launch yourself at its spine. It's one of the most exhilarating encounters in gaming history. Well, not history, but it's pretty good. Then there is Snow Peak Ruins, which subverts the dungeon formula entirely by placing you in a ruined, cozy mansion inhabited by two Yetis. You aren't just looking for keys, you're looking for ingredients to make soup to heal the sick wife. It's brilliant environmental storytelling. In the items, the ball and chain offers visceral destruction, while the double claw shots, which let you swing like Spider-Man from ceiling to ceiling, make the late game traversal an absolute joy. Every dungeon feels distinct, thematic, and mechanically inventive. I'm not going to go into the rant that I normally do in these Zelda videos where I say that I prefer the style of gameplay of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because if you've seen those videos, you know how I feel. But TLDR, I prefer the open world design of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and the freedom that you have in those games compared to the more linear approach of Twilight Princess, or Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, etc., etc. And I'm saying this because even though I do really like these games, the OG 3D Zelda games, the structure of them gets repetitive for me. Like I feel like every game is the same game, just with a different story. You know what you're gonna get. You know you're gonna have to fight 4 bosses within 4 dungeons, and each dungeon is different, obviously. But once you played one game, you kind of play them all. And again, it's a terrible take. Don't get me wrong. It's a bad take, right? I know I'm in the minority here. Because you can argue about any game. Oh, you play Borderlands 1, then you don't have to play Borderlands 2 or 3 because it's Borderlands, right? Like, I get it. I know what I'm saying. It's just that maybe because I didn't grow up with them, I don't feel as connected to those type of Zelda games. And I did play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom before I played the OG 3D Zelda games. So I'm more connected to those than the OG 3D games. So even though the dungeon design in Twilight Princess is really good, it's really fun. They're really fun. They're very unique. They're very different from one another, and they're kind of out there, if that makes sense, compared to the previous games, right? I'm not shitting on this style of gameplay. I'm not shitting on the dungeons. I'm not shitting on any of those games. I like these games. I'm just saying that I prefer open world Zelda over the more linear semi-open world of the OG 3D games. Speaking of Zelda, just kidding. When it comes to the lore, the story of Zelda, it's very convoluted. It's very crazy. You know, everyone knows that the Zelda timeline is fucking weird. Like, is it different universes? Is it a continuation? Is it a different timeline? It's fucking crazy. So, with that in mind, lore enthusiasts know this is actually the spirit of the hero of time of Ocarina of Time. Filled with regret for not passing on his skills, Learning techniques like the Helm Splitter or the Mortal Draw doesn't just make combat more dynamic, it turns Link into a genuinely formidable swordsman. By the end of the game, you aren't just mashing the attack button, you are performing a choreographed dance of parries, rolls, and devastating strikes. And with that said, it does feel like, without even knowing the, true story of Zelda, it feels like part 3 of the N64 timeline. Because if I'm not wrong, which I probably am, it's Ocarina of Time, and then Majora's Mask, and then Twilight Princess. I think you can consider those a trilogy. But again, I'm not really well informed about the Zelda timeline. I have seen some videos and I've done some research, but again, it's very kway. This martial prowess fits perfectly into the game's tone. Twilight Princess is undeniably the darkest game in the franchise. The lighting is muted, dominated by browns, golds, and grays. The secondary villain, Zant, is a masterclass in subverting expectations. He presents a stoic, terrifying tyrant, only to be revealed as a pathetic loser, unhinged fanatic later on. And the final multi-stage showdown with Ganondorf, culminating in one-on-one sword fight in the middle of Hyrule Field, is a masterclass in cinematic, high-stakes presentation. I think it also reflects the time when this game released, because I'm sure if you grew up in that era of gaming, the PS3, 360 era, almost every game had a fucking piss filter. Every game had it looked yellow, it was green, it was dark. Like I said in the beginning of the video, games wanted to be more mature, more grounded, more gritty. And Zelda was not, excused from that. They also did that shit. The game isn't as, if you compare Twilight Princess to something like the Wind Waker, complete opposite tones and art style. Wind Waker will flashbang you with colors, and Twilight Princess you'll have to raise your brightness up to 1000 because it's so fucking dark and piss colored. Zant being not the main villain is a cool little twist, right? Because Ganon isn't always the villain in the games. I do feel like they could have done a better job at twisting it, maybe because they don't have any voice acting, it's all text, which is kind of cringe in almost every Zelda game to this point. It doesn't really hit as hard, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, the twist was kind of cool, right? But I don't know, I feel like they could have done more with him. I kind of feel like he was just there just to like throw you off for a little bit, because like literally like he appears, you kind of defeat him, and then Ganon appears. So it's kind of like, is that it for this guy? Like, I get it, right? He's supposed to be the fake out villain. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like could have done a better job at it. And speaking of doing a better job, if there is one massive barrier to playing Twilight Princess, it is the pacing. The game takes an excruciating long time to get going. You spend the first 3 or 4 hours herding goats, chasing monkeys, and doing chores in Ordon Village before you even see the first real dungeon. Yeah, one of the things about this game is that in the beginning, like I said right now, it did take a while to get started. You kind of just did a bunch of bullshit before you started playing the game. I didn't really mind it, if I'm being honest, but it did feel kind of like, what the fuck's the point of this? Like, I guess they were kind of trying to go for a slow burn type of reveal for the main story of the game, or the main villain, or the main, crisis in the world. But I don't know, I think they could have just gone straight to it, or reduced that amount of bullshit before you start playing the game. Furthermore, the Tears of Light sections, where Wolf Link must hunt down invisible bugs to clear the Twilight from a province, often feel like an artificial padding that grinds the momentum to a halt. Nintendo even admitted this by reducing the number of tears required in the Wii U HD remaster. And while Hyrule Field was massive for its time, it suffers from the ocean-wide puddle-deep syndrome. It is beautifully vast, perfect for fighting Epona, but it is remarkably empty. There are very few secrets to uncover in the overworld compared to the density of modern open world games. It serves more as a grandiose hallway connecting the incredible dungeons rather than a living, breathing ecosystem. This game doesn't have that many flaws, right? It's a Zelda game. But the world, like I said, it does feel really fucking empty. Like, I get what Nintendo's trying to do. They're trying to, show off their hardware. Like, holy shit, the GameCube can do all this. And yeah, it's cool, but like, there's nothing else to do. But also, to be fair, it's not an open world game. It's just a glorified hallway. Like, let's be honest. So I understand why they didn't really add anything to it, to the open world. And because the open world was so massive, getting around was a pain in the ass. If you didn't have the item, the whistle to call Epona, you have to find a plant that can summon her, right? And you don't get that item until like fucking what, 20, 30 hours into the game. So by the time you're towards the end of the game, what the fuck's the point, Give it to me at the beginning. But like I said, this game doesn't have that many flaws, only a handful. When you look back at The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, its flaws pale in comparison to its monumental achievements. It gave fans exactly what they asked for in 2004, a sprawling, epic, dark fantasy adventure that pushed the classic Zelda formula to its absolute limits. In many ways, this game is the grand finale of an era. It was the ultimate, most refined version of the structure that Ocarina of Time built. After this, Nintendo realized they had taken that specific formula as far as they could go, leading to the linear exploration of Skyward Sword and the complete open-air reinvention of Breath of the Wild. Twilight Princess stands as a beautiful, melancholic masterpiece. It features the best companion in the series, the best dungeons in the franchise, and a cinematic flair that remains incredibly potent. It is a game about light and shadow, about legacy and sacrifice, and it remains one of the greatest adventures Nintendo has ever crafted. Looking back, it really is the last great Zelda game where the traditional formula was used before they transitioned to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which, again, I do prefer, and I understand that that's not the most popular take, like I said many times. So it is a pretty good and fantastic farewell to that structure, unless they go back to it, which I want to say I doubt, since Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom just gave them unlimited money, especially since they also re-released them for the Switch too. So it'll even give people more of a chance to play those games, the ones that didn't get to play it in the first place back in the Switch 1 days. But anyway, what do you guys think about the video, myself, and I? What do you guys think about the game? Twilight Princess, is your favorite? Is your worst? Let me know. Which dungeon did you like the most in the game? Which dungeon did you hate the least? I personally hate the fucking water ones. Every single game, no matter what. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll be back with another video. Bye.